United Flight 232 out of Denver was on its way to Chicago this afternoon, a direct flight with no stops in Iowa.
My first impression was that we were hit by another plane. The plane was jolted violently sideways, and within a few seconds, the captain came on to inform us that we had lost the number 2 engine.
The pilot was attempting to make an emergency landing at Sioux City. At about 4 o'clock, emergency crews were standing by.
The emergency cockpit alarm sounded, and Flight 232 flipped and cartwheeled down the runway and broke into a million pieces.
Disaster authorities say the breakup of the 15-year-old plane actually helped passengers to survive by giving them more openings through which to escape.
The main section of the fuselage remained relatively intact, but it caught fire immediately. It's believed that this is where many of the survivors were sitting in the plane when it crashed.
I grabbed the kids' hands and I told them I loved them very much. And to do everything that they said and keep their heads down.
Dr. Marshall Silk saw the plane go down and was one of the first to reach the wreckage and aid survivors. He says it's a miracle anyone walked away.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
The pilot radioed in that the plane had problems that turned out to be hydraulic failure throughout the aircraft. There are 3 hydraulic systems on the plane, 1 hooked up to each engine. Investigators want to know why all 3 failed. And perhaps the best clues will come from these, the so-called black boxes, which contain data and voice recordings. The boxes were taken to Washington today to be analyzed by federal investigators. The pilot will also provide some clues to the cause of what was called a complete failure of the hydraulic system.
We had more than just an engine failure. It was apparent to us that we had lost all of our hydraulic fluid. And when I asked Dudley for the procedure for that, he said there isn't one. So we made it up as we went along.
185 passengers and crew survived that fiery landing, but Haynes most remembers the 111 people who didn't survive.
And to their families and their friends, I would like to say that this crew, and in fact the entire industry, is dedicated to finding the cause of this accident. So maybe we can never have it happen again.
Eventually, a damaged engine rotor turned up in an Iowa farm field.
That innocuous-looking ring is the part that malfunctioned and caused the crash.
Federal investigators are focusing on a small crack in the recovered disc as a likely cause of the crash. And through this animated simulation, the engine maker has concluded damage found on parts of the DC-10 could have been caused by the disc breaking apart. Federal officials ordered ultrasonic testing of all CF6 engine discs only last month, after investigators identified the disc as a factor in the Sioux City crash.
"112 people did not survive. 184, including Haynes, did. The 72-year-old still lives with survivor's guilt, though he says time has helped him heal.
And you have to talk, and talking is the clue. That's how you cure yourself, or how you learn to deal with it.
I think about it all the time, but I don't think there's been a day that's gone by that I haven't thought about the crash, and more so in the last few years, the impact it's had on my life.
It changed people in significant ways. It changed me to the point where I look for the good in this world, not the negative. There are way too many good people, there are way too many good things happening in this world to focus on all the bad.
And I think it really softened our hearts and gave us more compassion and empathy, sympathy, all of those kinds of words in how to live our lives and how to deal with each other.
Despite the loss of life, people in Sioux City still have a special name for the disaster. To them, it will always be a miracle in a cornfield.